Our first speaker is Vijay Mehta. Many of you will actually know Vijay very well. He speaks in many, many places. Vijay is president of the Vita Mehta, the VM Center for Peace. He is a founding trustee of Fortune Forum charity. He is chair of Action for UN Renewal. He is co-chair of the World Disarmament Campaign. Vijay is an author, a champion for truth and global activist for peace, development, human rights, and the environment. His life, and I can say that I know this from experience, his life is devoted to the service of peace, humanity, and our planet. So we owe a lot to people like Vijay. Yeah, absolutely. Now, can I say that Vijay's got some leaflets down here, Vijay?
And copy of my today's talk.
Today's talk, and also you've got some books as well.
Books, but books are £5.
Okay. Now, Vijay is going to give us an overview of UN International Women's Day and an overview of the DRC, that's the Democratic Republic of Congo, situation. And then he'll deal with how the UN can help women. Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you. Thanks, Rob. Thank you, UNA Patni and Roehampton. And thanks, Meena, Joe Stokes, Catherine, all wonderful people and wonderful work they are doing for UNA Patni. And thanks for inviting me to speak today and before as well. And it's very fitting today's event, International Women's Day, and you have to pick up, I think, all the press, right and left press, the Sunday Times, the Independent, the Guardian, all have fantastic articles on women, what they have achieved over the last 100 years, and what are the still benchmarks or things which we have still got to be achieved between equality of both the sexes and things like that, which we, of course, will be talking over today. The topic we have chosen today, the crisis for women in the Democratic Republic of Congo and how the UN and international community can help. It's very fitting, very important, because let me start by saying the fate of Congo was very much decided in the 19th century at the Berlin Conference, which divided Africa, the scramble for Africa, where King Leopold manipulated the other Western powers to give him Congo. King Leopold treated the then Congo Free State as his own private fiefdom, having reduced the population from 20 million people to 10 million people, the biggest genocide in history. And the war situation has made the life of women more precarious, and violence against women seems to be perceived by large sectors of society to be normal. According to UN Special Rapporteur over there, who toured Eastern Congo in July, says violence against women in North and South Kivu is just equal to unimaginable brutality. Armed groups attack local communities, loot, rape, kidnap women and children, and make them work as sexual slaves. And this has been going on for 12 years. And the peacekeepers, MONUC, are not only producing results, but according to some observers, which has been very recently so much in the news, they are actually either standing by or are also a part who are perpetrators of massacre. So, with over 5 million dead, hundreds of thousands of women and girls raped and sexually tortured in most unimaginable way, and the 800,000 internally displaced people. All that violence one thinks is there? Because it's fueled by the world's need for minerals, most recently due to the economic crisis. And Congo is one of the most mineral-rich countries in Africa, has become the stage for a regional war fueled by economic interests, a resource war backed by extraction of minerals. I tell you what, the situation in Congo has been brilliantly put in a recent article which says by the novelist John Le Carre, we are talking of a country being held to ransom, a country that has no memory of deciding its own fate, only of desperate need, terrible violence and self-hatred, and the rule of the gun. On an average, the day of the year, 1,450 Congolese die of wars, war-related things, and the twin effects of disease and malnutrition. Nowhere on earth has suffered more terribly than the consequences of the colonial rule in Congo. And it's been going on because there has been foreign predators throughout history, whether we talk of Arab slaves or the pillaging of the country's people and riches by the appalling King Leopold of the Belgians, or recently the murder of in 1961 of the first elected Prime Minister Patrice Lumumba, just 1 year after the country obtained its independence. And behold, he was replaced by Mobutu, whose 30 years of ever more demented misrule, corruption and proxy wars against perceived enemies of Western alliance reduced Congo to a condition of social and economic collapse from which it still has to recover. And the first Congo War barely raged itself out before the second followed. Warlords ruled, roaming militias fought, looted and killed at will. Mass rape and the mutilation of women became a military weapon, destroying tribal and family life. And let me tell you the role of media, which has been worsening the conflict. Why? Because of the perceived way the West too often views an entire continent as gripped by corruption, tribal conflict, disasters and bizarre goings-on. As you witnessed recently about that the Togolese football team in Angola, and it appeared all over the place as stereotyping of Africa, its problems and solutions, with its devastating consequences. Believe me, if that football team would have played a normal game and nothing would happen, we wouldn't have heard even a small paragraph in any news of the world. And often the example of 2008 crisis in the Congo, the conflict is framed as one of the tribal wars, but neglect the crucial element of Western companies fueling the conflict by paying off rebel factions. So let's talk about the peacekeepers, the MONUC, which they call the United Nations Organization Mission in Democratic Republic of Congo. It's one of the biggest peacekeeping operations in the world, but the task has got I believe, or research has told me, they've got about 45 different tasks and responsibilities. Not the least of which is the protection of civilians in the hilly, densely forested, nearly inaccessible provinces of North and South Kivu in the east of the country. The mission, which is the largest United Nations peacekeeping operation deployed anywhere in the world, is facing all the challenges faced by any mission, including the use of force and the protection of civilians. At the same time, the UN peacekeepers are under increasing pressure because remember there is an election next year. So President Joseph Kabila wants them out. He's asked them to find an exit strategy. So you are out, and probably he wants to solidify his own power for the elections of the next year. And the other problems with UN and Congolese army, or you can say, is to tackle the rebel leaders, which is the Bosco Ntaganda, who is wanted by the International Criminal Court, and which the Ellen Doss, the UN rep for DRC, said recently that the support which the UN mission, MONUC, gives to the national army is unrelenting to Bosco's freedom. It's unfair to color MONUC's assistance to the army, which is mandated by the UN Security Council, as pact with the devil.